Welcome in to the Player Series featuring the one and only Andrew Gordon. Welcome, dude. Nice to meet you officially 5 minutes ago.
Likewise. Good to be here. Good to finally be on the Player Series.
Right?
There's a best for last joke in there somewhere, but
there's still two more. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So like best for last, third to last.
Yeah. Yeah, runner up. So.
Yeah, exactly. Third place.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Mark, since I don't know this guy from Adam, you take it. I just go for it. This is all you, bud.
All right. Well, sounds good. I think we wanted to start just by enjoying last night in our Washington victory. So we welcomed Andrew Gordon on here just to, also let us just bask in the glory for a moment before we actually get to the questions.
Huge Washington fan. Massive. Can't wait for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have to be. If you can't beat them, join them, sort of a thing, I guess. I don't believe that at all. But here we go.
I think you might be the first person to ever join the Washington bandwagon. So
you don't even know what the name of the bandwagon is, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
The team with no name.
It's beautiful in a way. It's poetic, very 2020.
I will say, Mark, we talked about this last episode about like what would it take for them to keep the name and everyone would be okay with it. And there is a sense of just like being that underdog Washington football team. It's ironic. If they keep winning, I like it more and more every week. That and those all white uniforms. That at first glance, I texted you. I was like, "This is crap," and then I was like, "Wait a second. You know who hated these uniforms? Bruce Allen.
Bruce Allen.
That's why we haven't had him. So now that Bruce Allen is, I'm all on. I'm on board. White uniforms every week. White on white or burgundy on burgundy. That's it.
The burgundy looks good. There's not many kits that look better than the burgundy in the entire NFL. I can say that as a bona fide Eagles fan. Very few uniforms look better than that.
Yeah, well, and the fact that you use the word kit, I think that's, Mark, we have to adopt that because if we're the Washington Football Club,
what is it called? What is it called if it's not a kit?
It's a uniform. Like kit is just like a European football.
No, but this is perfect. If we're going to be the football team, right, just like every soccer team,
kit. It's going to be the pitch. Yeah,
this
is good.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the football team? And I'll get into more pertinent questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, let it be known, I hate every bit of this, but. Let's get the bad news for you guys out of the way, right? So Steelers were what, 11-0?
Mm-hmm.
They beat almost no one. So like the refs helped them out against Tennessee, and the Ravens had a practice team out in the field. Like they've gone toe to toe with good teams, like actual good football teams. But now they've played the real football team, right? It's still a gutsy win. Like no matter what, still a gutsy win. You love to see it for Alex Smith. I mean, who tweeted it yesterday? Like, without even playing, Alex Smith is the best story in football all year. But then the dude comes out and, like, is playing competitive football that might actually win you games. Okay, like, I will 100% sit down and watch that. It's great. You had a run game that worked without Antonio Gibson. Cam Sims looks like he can catch the ball and be like a WR2 behind McLaurin. Okay, fun to watch. Because they shut down McLaurin all day, and you still had an offense that didn't suck against a very good but Bud Dupree-less Steelers. You guys have to be feeling good. I get why you're feeling good. It's the NFC East. There's still a lot of crap and mud that you guys will have to slog through to get to the inevitable top of the bottom.
Right.
But let it be known, you guys have a pathway there. I feel like, obviously your record is the same as the Giants, right? That's how little I care. But I feel like it's almost like you control your own destiny. Giants they're not real. Their defense is okay, but they're not real. They're not going to last.
But here's the thing. Let's play the devil's advocate here. By both teams being 5-7, there is still the potential for two NFC East teams in the playoffs.
It would be a travesty for all time. In 2020, it really does fit. It fits. It's like the most on-brand thing I've ever heard in my life. But it shouldn't happen It should not come to pass, and it would be a shame.
It would. It would definitely be a shame. But think of all the memes of those like NFC least, and then it has him sitting there. I'm saying him because I'm totally blanking on this meme, but you know the one I'm talking about, where he's like, "You shouldn't have said that." What's the meme? Help me out, Mark. Wow.
Sorry.
You suck.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Right.
I got nothing. I got nothing on that.
All right. I
Shouldn't
will.
have said
I'll place it in the chat. I won't take this out because I don't want people to think that I'm perfect in every way. But there is a meme. I will find it before the end of this interview, and I will post it. But let's move on.
Let's move on.
Put in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
All right. So, the first one I want to start with for you, Andrew, was about, I figured we'd lean right into this one, about we have been vocal about Eagles being the worst fan base thus far. Just kind of wanted to give you the air as an Eagles fan. Not necessarily you have to be the representative, but you can assume the representative position for Philadelphia. What would you like to say in response, or if you have another proposal for another team?
I mean, I'll stand in momentarily, apparently, as the spokesperson for Jason Kelsey, and just like put it out there that no one likes us and we don't care. So that's great, and we will wear that as a badge of honor and frick the rest of you. So like, if that makes us the worst, great, we're the worst. But you like, can you really, like, what do you mean by, like, it's such a subjective thing, right? Because if you mean like the worst, like you're telling me that like Eagles fan base, are we obnoxious? Are we annoying? But you could never call us dispirited. You could never call us like people who don't have passion or who don't care. Like, what about the freaking Arizona Cardinals fan base, or the Texans? You know, until the past like 20 minutes, the Texans fan base. Who the frick cares about them? Like, there are fan bases that are objectively the worst. Like, aren't involved. Maybe go to games when the team is good. You know, we go to games. We pack that place out. We love the team. We love it to a fault, to the point where we actually, I think, influence poor decisions. See also current events. But like, we couldn't be the worst if the spectrum or like the barometer was passion or caring. We could be the worst as it pertains to like, I'm relating to someone else who likes football. They like the Eagles. They probably are the worst. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like you could say the same. Like the Cowboys. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think when people refer to the Eagles fan base as the worst, they're thinking of two main things. In the spirit of in the spirit of the holidays, you threw stone-filled snowballs at Santa Claus. That's the top one. Yeah. Everyone's going to say it. Doesn't matter that it happened like 1.5 billion years ago. That's the big
Sorry
one.
for being a good Christian.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry that Christmas is about Jesus. Get out of here, Santa. Bye.
Yeah.
Next
reason
question.
For the season.
Next
Gotcha.
question. Yep,
so then the second one is, how many Super Bowls have you guys won?
I believe it's one big one.
Right. So one big one.
And it was incredible. Yeah. Plenty of teams don't have one big one.
Sure. And if they were as obnoxious as you guys, they would be more obnoxious of a fan base. But the fact that you have one Super Bowl and the quarterback that you've paid ridiculous amounts of guaranteed money for the next couple seasons looks like hot dumpster fire garbage, and he didn't even win you that Super Bowl. Instead, that quarterback is now playing as a backup on another team. Just gives us all the leverage we need to say, like, you guys aren't that great. You aren't what you say you are. And you had one good season against a hapless Tom Brady. That's it. That's all I got.
Multiple fallacies there. I don't really think I have time for all these. Let me see if I can go at just a few.
Sure.
Hapless Tom Brady's a joke. He's the GOAT. So beat 2017 Patriots. You know, no defense in that Super Bowl, but we earned it. And Carson Wentz having nothing to do with it. Like, he was the MVP that season. It was a darn shame he didn't win the MVP. So you don't get there without him. So I don't think I necessarily like lean up against that. And even 2017 aside, it's this hyper focus in the immediate. I could see in 2020, like the most miserable fan base, Philadelphia. Like I far and away. I can't think of another team who like the Jets are so pathetic. Like it's pity. It's not even miserable. It's just you're just like, wow, I really hope they get it together. Philadelphia people are still in the mode of just like, you were recently successful in like a real pain. Like, I hope you're miserable. And we're miserable. But like the Jets, you just feel bad for. But you don't talk about other fan bases by calling out like their current quarterback controversy, like their current thing. It's like, yeah, we're presently very miserable, but as like a fan base for the entire history of the actual team itself, I think we've probably earned to some degree more respect, but I wouldn't really know as somebody who's really just slugging down that Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Like just cannot get enough of the Eagles Kool-Aid. I'll drink it all. So I don't know. Was that the world's best defense of the Eagles fan base? No. But I think it's a little bit jaded, especially because of like current circumstances. I don't know if I follow. Totally. I buy into us being miserable though, for sure.
Yeah. I think there was enough on that one. I do want to then semi-related take on the Carson Wentz. We talked a lot about Washington. I wanted to send you another one about this Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts going on in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's complex. The money makes it really messy, right? I mean, you can't hate it more from a money perspective. That's where it's going to hurt the most. There's a really good chance that barring something really incredible with Hurts, like we're probably not going to be back in the mix now until 2024, unless Wentz finds his way by a miracle of God, right? Like, you can still see that he has it. I really believe it's in his head. I mean, there's the logic of like, well, maybe the injury he suffered, like he just doesn't, like have it like he used to. Maybe to some degree, but not to the degree of like fall off from being number 2 in the MVP conversation 3 years ago to not being able to move the ball like 10 yards like a few nights ago. Like that precipitous fall off, I think, is largely mental. And I think it's a failure of the organization. I hate sports radio in Philadelphia. It's not nuanced. It doesn't have good conversations. It's probably the worst. It's tongue in cheek funny, but it's not like good discussion at all. The issue starts with Jeff Lurie, and then it goes right down the list to Joe, to Howie, then to Doug, and then to Carson. We as an organization have failed Carson. And we're doing the right thing by going to Jalen right now because we need a spark, and you guys all still suck. Like, we're still in it. Like, we'd be fools not to put Jalen in and try and reinvigorate the team. But it's possible that Jalen doesn't have an NFL arm. It's possible that he, like Robert Griffin before him, like hot take, maybe Lamar Jackson before him, like he might be good for 16 or 24 games and then flare out. That's very much so on the table with him. I don't think he's a long-term solution.
Carson Wentz will still be on your roster after 16 to 24 games.
Yeah, so. And maybe he gets enough therapy, like he gets enough therapy and comes back and just ascends back to the throne. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But the way that it's been managed is very troubling to me. I don't think we're going to have happy times here for a little while. And yeah, I mean, as somebody who does, like, if you were a fan of any other NFC East team, it's a time to celebrate our current state of affairs here because it is a hot dumpster fire right now.
And just another
just brought us down here. Just the mood is very somber.
You know what? Nothing can bring me down.
I'm bottoming out.
Just remember that there was this really great game last night, and it'll bring you right back up.
I was entertained. Alex Smith walking off the field with the football, incredible. Loved it.
That was so savvy.
That was great.
That was gorgeous.
Very savvy. You can see it on his face when he ran off the field. I watched it in slow-mo. Very fun to watch. It was a good moment. I was happy for him. And last thing on the Steelers-Washington game, I love Mike Tomlin, even in a loss. Yeah. That dude is the best coach. I wish I could hire Mike Tomlin and never have him leave. He's the best.
There were rumors he was coming to us, and I would say between him and Rivera, like those are the top two of the class to me.
You got to like Rivera. He had that early going, you had to go to Brandon Allen or whatever the frick that guy's name is, like really tough times. And everybody was just like, oh, is this the right choice? He was the right choice. You got to love Rivera as the head coach. The investments are paying the dividends now. Honestly, I don't hate Washington. I never hated Washington except for as like a conference rival. I always just hated the Cowboys, and the Giants and the Redskins were just like, oh, I am nurtured to like I am cultivated to not like you, but it's not like deep disdain in the same way as the Cowboys. The Cowboys are like the Yankees, like spend money, worst owner in the world, and everybody seems like a D-bag, even though they could all be great dudes. Like Dak Prescott, love Dak Prescott, but don't like him because he's a Cowboy. So anyway, I do not have a hard time rooting for Washington. As it pertains to my team, I believe going straight down to the cellar. We're going to be competing for picks here. We're just like, if the Jets could turn it around, we'd be looking at Trevor Lawrence time.
Last thing on this, actually. Well, yeah. I would say you may have already been saying this, but Dallas, there's a unique kind of worst fan base that they aren't really like as threatening of a group, if I can say it that way, and they're just like fair weather, obnoxious in that way, that they're not very invested. So I can kind of –
fair weather is the right word. They're too big to hate, right? It's
yes.
The same thing with the Yankees. It's the same thing with Chelsea in the Premiership. It's the same thing with Dallas. They're so big. They're so rich. There's so many fans. You can't pinpoint the hatred for them, but it's just everywhere. But then it's because it's hatred everywhere. It's not strong enough in one place, like with the Eagles for you.
Yeah,
it's really just the stench and the smell.
But they're worse. Yeah, just Dallas, horrible, smelly place.
Oh, I was talking about Philly, but
what were you talking about Philadelphia? Both are right. Yeah, no, they're both true. Let me just open my window here. Confirmed. Yeah.
Last one on the Eagles, and we'll go into the fantasy part of things. But I think I saw an article. I did see an article. I don't know if it was a legitimate one, that Doug is considering stepping down after the year. Have you seen any of this?
Man.
It was like
– I've heard it all.
Yeah.
Yahoo fake news. No.
That's what I mean. Just a general throwaway article I saw.
I really think the nature of sports media in Philadelphia, you could say anything and it might be true. I think Doug was more in the position of like, whether this actually came out, I don't know. But he'd be more in the Matt Nagy, like, oh, should I give up play calling? That seems more on brand for me, which is just a slippery slope, like 2 hop, skips, and a jump away from giving up the head coaching position. But I could see him giving up play calling, at least for a time. Stepping down would be really strong. I don't know. You cannot convince me at all that you won a Super Bowl as a coach, and he had a huge part in that as the coach of the Super Bowl team, and say that he just somehow has lost his way.
Yeah.
It could be focus. It could be time investment. It could be personnel. It could be pressure from above him. All those things play a factor. Doug himself alone is not the issue. It could be who's surrounding him on his team of coaches, all kinds of stuff. So I just lament the whole thing. I'm sad about it. I'm done. I want to go into the fantasy world where I can escape from this reality, because that's the only place I can go to like bring some spark of joy from football. So torture me no more, Mark. Take me to the land of fantasy questions.
Well, let me ask you this one. So just as a lead, and this one isn't going to be like emotionally uplifting, but how did you handle? Go ahead. How did you handle losing number 1 pick Saquon for the year? 2 parts to this, both emotionally and strategically.
Yeah, losing 1-1, what can you do from there, right? Like that's just going to be a huge blow to where our aspirations were at the beginning of the season. We had Miles Sanders after an unprecedented fire sale. We picked up Austin Eckler. So to some degree, it was like, okay, we're gonna survive here. We're gonna manage. But as like resident, maybe number 4 team in this league, the outlook was always pretty bleak, because if you're not really in fantasy, if you're not first, you're last. Like, so emotionally, to lose Saquon, it was at that moment, it was just kind of like, man, that's 1 year where the championship window is now lessened. We have to push the championship window forward 1 year. You know, everybody's going to get older. Everyone's going to get more injury prone. And I was crushed. And I like, again, inside the division, hard to root for, but similar to Dak, I like Saquon. Dude's a PSU guy, like gym rat, and just seems like he gets it. You know what I mean? Like, easy to root for in that respect. So I was crushed. I mean, like, that was a real bummer. And it makes my team less, I think, week to week, like, fun, frankly, from a fantasy perspective. Strategically, what did it mean? Yeah, it meant I knew as soon as I saw Sam Hinkie going ape wild from the trade block, I was like, all right, time to pick up a running back for sure if he was willing to sell, and he was, which was dope. But at the same time, we just had to mitigate the loss of Saquon more than anything strategically. To me, it was just like, okay, let's just look 12 months into the future a little bit more. It doesn't mean throw this one in the garbage, because anything can happen. Still a lot of time. Anybody can get injured. Anything can happen, especially in the last 3 weeks of the season. It gets a little bit wild anyway. Still in it, but not in it to the point where I'm going to, sell the farm and be like, this is it. This is the year we're going to do it. So playing the cards close to the chest, but that's kind of what the Saquon injury did for us over at We All Know Mark PM.
That, I guess just that we should ask about that. Or even just kind of describe a little bit of that. I guess I can give you my take and then interested in yours. When I brought Andrew Gordon into the league, I believe either you asked me who's in the league, or maybe I just said it. And I think I alluded to, you might not know that many people.
Did.
And so he brings in We All Know Mark, and then I just kind of was like, I'm thinking through everyone. He knows at least half the league. So I think is that fair to say that's how we got to We All Know Mark, or some more?
Yeah, like, do I want to say it's your fault? Yeah, 100% it's your fault, Mark. But like, I'm not going to go every week and come back to this. I like my brand now. I think it's very special. It's still true. We all know Mark, so it's evergreen. It's a beautiful piece of branding and marketing, and we're just going to really lean into it and just watch it just take us into, better times. There's greener pastures ahead for We All Know Mark. Can't wait.
Well, and I know, like, I agree. I think it's a good brand. It's a good brand, because I remember when you came out with that name, a lot of us tried a couple different monikers that, kind of mocked your We All Know Mark. I remember there was a couple, like
there were copycats.
I've seen Mark naked.
I remember that one.
I don't remember who had that name.
That could have been my brand as well.
Yeah.
I did not copyright that one. I could have. I chose not to.
Yeah, there's that copyright is pretty open and available.
Moving back again, biblically, We All Know Mark. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's a little suggestive.
To know him.
Yes.
Who can say? The mystery of We All Know Mark runs very deep. It's hard to say what it truly means. Maybe it will change meaning over time.
That would be on brand.
Every season is a different chapter. Could be like an anthology here.
I like that. It's very poetic.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that.
So we need to do a little quick segue here, just because Wild Card Week, yes, there's a game technically tonight. It's the Ravens and the Cowboys. At this point, like, I looked at the games. They look pretty decided. So I just want to give a quick update of our roster standings. Who made the playoffs? Who didn't? Good news to the three of us. We're all in. We did it. So congratulations.
And I think in 2 weeks, maybe more. Maybe in 2 weeks, I think I went from first to fifth.
Yeah, you had the biggest fall from grace. So the correct order, we'll start from the bottom. That's a good place to start, Mark. That's an excellent point. So John Staggers limped into the playoffs. He beat Pinoer this week. And he looks like he's going to get the high score of the week.
I was going to say limped with 213, I think.
Right.
He's going to end up with.
But it's that 7 and 6. That's what I'm talking about. So he's coming in strong. He's coming in hot. Kind of makes me a little nervous because we'll see what happens. But Mark, you already alluded to it. You dropped to 5th place, and I think that has everything to do with the fact that you have one quarterback.
Great.
That you keep playing. You have 2 quarterbacks. You just won't play him. His name's Alex Smith. He's a hero.
Sure.
Okay. So
Not a believer, Mark. Got to be a believer.
Yeah, seriously.
Come on.
So I was about to say, like, he really did go off, and, like, I felt really confident. I looked over. He did still only have 15 points, even after this, like, big week. So while I love the man.
Your team. You're in 5th place. You do what you want with it. Don't worry about it, dude.
To be fair, Todd Gurley did get me 4 in place of Alex Smith. So
that was my question. There it is.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is you're right. He's not like a crazy quarterback, but we're talking your quarterback too. So anyway, moving on because time's limited here. So 4th place, I believe, is BC. And
Dumbass Danubia.
Yes. And then 3rd place is yours truly down here. We all know Mark. You've slid back into grace, up into the top tier. 2nd place, yeah. 2nd place is Seymour. He's kind of solidified that over the last 2 weeks. I kind of like he came out of nowhere, but now you're like, okay, I see it. His team looks legitimate. And then 1st place is obviously me, but we can move on. I think I also might have stolen the points for record from you this week, Mark, depending on whether Ezekiel Elliott is able to get out from behind that line. But
yeah, I think he'd have to score. I think
642 points is what we're looking at.
It's a lot. So, congratulations on your crown.
It's okay. I'm gonna lose in round 2 of the playoffs. John Sagas is gonna come in and just whoop my ass. I can see it.
Yeah, he's hedging his bets. I don't believe it for a second.
And congratulations to both of you on your championship wins. I see you both in the playoffs, both in that championship game. I'm proud of you both. So that's yes. Bets are hedged. I'm on the phone with DC right now. We're good. Everything's covered.
So, Andrew, to continue with the fantasy realm, to continue saving you from the conversations around Philadelphia.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. This is the one I really want to get to. So I'll start with this one. Has tanking come up in you're in another dynasty league? Has tanking come up at all?
This is the best one.
And how have you guys handled it if it has?
So here is how we deal with it. Hashtag my other league. We essentially have similar playoff formats. So you have the top half of the league goes to the winners playoffs, and then the losers bracket. So our version of the toilet bowl. The winner of the toilet bowl gets pick number 1 the next year in the draft. So the draft picks kind of reset every year. So you can't tank fully, or else you're going to get like a mid-first the following year. So it promotes being competitive, at least all the way through to the game, 16 of the season, at the very end. So, and you're playing constellations throughout. It's not terribly dissimilar to what we're looking at, but that kind of gets rid of tanking just because, especially in years like, I think the one that's upcoming, like some draft classes like last year, like who gives a crap? Sure, there's a drop off after like maybe 1-1 or 1-2, but picks 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9, like they're all the same relative values, similar tier. But this coming year, it could be a different story. So I think that helps people that are, attempting to tank or have that be a part of their strategy, which is not a poor strategy. It just means that they need to be a little bit more diligent. They need to be bad enough to miss the playoffs and then good enough to win the losers playoffs.
Yeah,
we talked about that, Mark. I was going to say that was definitely one of the options, and I think it's definitely worth revisiting the off season because, frankly, like Tanking's stupid. I hate it so much. I've told Mark this so many times in text. I'm like, guys, it's just like a loser's mentality. I personally hate it. So I don't see myself being able to tank. Of course, if I had GM Newell's roster, I probably would have tanked too. But other than that,
Which one? After the fire sale or before the fire sale?
Either
I
one.
think he's competitive. I think he's competing. I think he sold off, and he could have easily been getting like.
oh, and well, that's my
playoffs.
yes, I agree. He had a decent roster, starting roster. He didn't have any depth, and I really want to believe that I got into his head, and with those rankings, and put a little bug in his ear that, hey, buddy, you might not be able to pull this off again. Couple losses, he started freaking out. We just kind of like, wiggle that sword just a little bit, and sure enough, you wiggle a sword on a stone, it creates sparks, fire sale.
That's a segue.
It's
I like that. That you should TM. Yeah. TM.
it's a long name, but it could work. Yeah, for sure.
So we talked about it. Oh, I think I'm going to cut you off. I was having an issue with the recording.
We're good.
But I feel like this one's sore. I feel like right now, I don't feel like it's ideal what we're doing, which is pretty much a very active involvement from us as the commissioners of like making sure people are setting rosters and things like that I don't think is ideal nor necessarily, I don't know. We'll let's see kind of how people feel about it. But I also like the idea of getting the lowest, person getting the best pick, but having to do that organically. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know.
So, did either of you guys see my YouTube comment on one of the previous videos? I left a comment on one of your videos pretty recently. Anybody see that?
Let's just pretend we did, but
all right,
can
no
you share
problem.
it for everybody else?
I'll send, yeah, no problem.
I totally saw it,
a
though.
formal complaint.
Yeah.
It's no problem. No. So I'll restate it because you saw it.
Yeah.
I've heard of a league that's doing a thing where instead of just win-loss in the matchup, you also get a win or loss each week if you beat the median score for the week, which kind of contributes towards what Mark is getting at. So if you're like Mark, who is second in war, his record is going to be better than what it is now, and be a more true measurement of the quality of his team versus someone like, I'd use myself as an example, but Ben Chapman comes to mind.
Yeah.
As somebody who has a tremendous amount, just throw a name out there. It could have been anybody. Chapman comes to mind in the sense that the percentage, the luck factor on his wins in terms of opponents performing poorly or him just going balls to the wall and going nuts in a week, that gets factored into the median scores. And so early on, he would have done, he would have middled about and been in a different position. So that's the way I think too, without using the losers bracket formula to get to 1-1. You could kind of organically, as you said, Mark, kind of get to that place where the true last place person gets 1-1 the following year.
And you can always do a kind of a in between of those two as well. So you did something with the median score. You still have the toilet bowl to determine 1-2. And then after that is in order. Or, there's lots of different scenarios I've seen in different leagues, so that you had the best of both worlds. The ultimate loser last year, Ben Chapman, needed all those draft picks to even have a chance this year.
Look at the parity of the league. Look at the parity. You got to love what you're seeing from a commissioner standpoint, in terms of how bunched together everybody is. Sure, is that in part because of the fire sale and in part because of injuries that happened this year and luck? 100%, absolutely. But if the league has parity, that's just a well-run league. Good job, 10 out of 10. It's competitive. That's freaking fun.
You ready? Can you do it? Yeah, but got it.
All right. Well, okay.
We'll cut it. Don't worry. We'll cut it. It's great. Yeah, no, I hear you. I agree. Pat on the back to us. We're freaking awesome. But I think a lot of it, if you look at last year too, the parity wasn't that much different. There was like a huge drop off at the bottom, but even if you look at last year's scores, I think Jim Knoll had like 10-3, so he was the clear top. BC had like 2-11
Yeah.
or something like that. But other than that, everyone else was pretty grouped in the middle too. So it'll be interesting to see if this is something that continues. But definitely, I encourage you, Andrew, bring up some of these things in the off season, because last year we didn't know each other. Mark and I tried to get like some rule changes, but we're going to do the same thing in the off season. We're going to give people the opportunity to present some possible rule changes, and I would love it if there was actually, some suggestions this year, as opposed to Mark and I being like, do you guys want a really stupid rule? Okay, you don't? Cool. We'll keep it the same.
Let me throw out a suggestion here from my #otherleague. Sleeper chat sucks. It's the worst. Sleeper chat is the worst chat function or feature in an app I think I've ever seen. It might be the worst of all time. I think the way to go is because you can't guarantee that everybody has an Apple or an Android in your group. The way to go is the way of like Slack. Slack is a free one that you can just create channels. My other league has Slack, and we have like a main chat. We have a trade block, and then this year we have like a COVID-19 like roster switch where the commissioners will post the games that are in question, and then you put your roster switches in there. So that really, it both compartmentalizes. It also hosts a place for DMs, because DMs on Sleeper also suck. So trading has to happen via text. And if I don't know who you are, which is like 40% of the league, although Mark thought it was maybe higher, like if I don't know who you are, I'm not going to reach out to you and be like, hey, let's just pick on Connor because I don't know who that is. Like, Connor, well, let's do a deal. It's like,
he's like,
I don't know
you.
Like, I'm not going to. Yeah. Sure, right. Like, it's like, I don't know. I just don't feel as comfortable to do that. Whereas Slack gives you an opportunity to be like, okay, here's a person. I can see on Sleeper what their roster is. I can just make a deal with them. And then you have a more common place to hold and then archive conversations about past rule changes, or like pull up the receipts when somebody's like saying some crap in the chat. Bring those receipts back, baby. Let's see those. Let's put you on blast. Love that stuff. That's good. So I'm a huge proponent of Slack. It's worked out really well in the other league. It's another app. You got to have another app if you like, it is what it is. But to me, I think it's worth it. If you're already using Slack too, just create another workspace. It's super nice.
I mean, Mark and I definitely have our own Slack for the league. That's where we
add us to it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I love that though. I didn't think about.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Like, I didn't think about, because it is. It's just like three messages and it's gone. And the idea of like, you could even just put like, you can go as much or as little as you want with the channels. That is super good. Yeah. So
Sleeper Chat sucks. Sure. What do you think about the functionality of the app though? Do you have a different suggestion?
I think Sleeper looks really great. Sleeper looks incredible. I think it has a lot of functionality to it that's really quite clean and nice. We use Flea Flicker in my other app, and that's just like minimalistic. Keep it simple, stupid, high level of customization in terms of the league and rules and stuff like that. But I think Sleeper is functional. It needs another community component outside of the chat there, because it's like, if I want to look at what, like some roast that somebody made, or like somebody in the chat was saying this or saying some crap, it's like, if I want to go back and look at that, it's like, okay, let me go back to August and find out when this person said this. It's like, see you in 30 minutes. It's annoying. So that's where I think a supplement to Sleeper can be really good. I don't think the app itself is broken, and it seems like it's an app development like group that is taking feedback and making changes over the course of time. I wish they'd get rid of some of the graphics and some of like the stupid mascots, and the chat sucks. And I hate the way it's laid out is not as intuitive as other things. But I have an ESPN league, a Flea Flicker league, and Sleeper league. Sleeper is passable. It gets a passing grade. It just has some stuff where it falters.
I will say from a commissioner side, it's real nice for the customization. I've never used Flea Flicker, so that's something to check out. But yeah,
I would keep it where we're at. Honestly, I really would.
Yeah, but that's the reason Mark and I went with Sleeper in the first place, is the customization, some of the stupid rules we like to put in there, how we like to kind of mess with the scoring settings a little bit, and then even I was looking to see what we needed to do for playoff tiebreakers. That's the only thing I haven't been able to figure out in there, because we have points for, which I still think is the best one. Mark doesn't like it, but
I hope we know. I've advocated for it this entire time from day one, and I'm glad to see Eric coming around.
Yeah, I only came around because I'm first in points for, so it makes sense to me. But
yeah, Mark's in 5th place, so who really cares?
I'm just going. Yeah, now I'm gonna tank. Try and get that draft pick.
Perfect. Sell the team, Mark. Sell the whole thing off.
Just some rest in peace, Joe. All right. Let's see here. So we've kind of talked around a lot of them. So the last one, I just kind of want to leave it open if there's anything else that you were thinking of, either that we should be stealing from your other league, that's something interesting that you guys see differently for us to steal, or if there's anything else that you would like to see us changing. And you've already answered these, and if you've
it's a really good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that, candidly, the big difference between that league and this league is that everybody knows each other. And it's also a little bit older than this league too, which I think is going to, we're going to have that snowball effect. We're going to have that where, regardless of how much we knew somebody, like me and Seth Newell, acquaintances at best, right, in college. Me and Caleb Moore, more than acquaintances, not quite like, solid friends, stuff like that. That's going to build over time as we have the experience of the league and matchups and rivalry weeks with stuff like this. That stuff that's already in position for our league is going to take hold, and it's going to mean something in a couple of years that it doesn't mean right now. That's going to be huge. I think, and again, folks who I didn't know, but love the contribution, like Mike Boucher writing the story every week. Like, once they got that blurry picture thing figured out, I think it's hilarious. That's funny. That's really good. I think stuff like that is like when you get invested, not to the point of you're a crazy person, but you get invested to the point where, oh, this is I care about this a little bit more of just I'll set my lineup, I shut it down, I don't care about it, see you later. I'm here because I spent $25 to try and win the fantasy league money. It's no, when pride and ownership is involved, it's hey, no, Eric was trashing me for fire sailing my team, and now I want to light him on fire and beat him. Right. That's way more compelling than Connor, I beat you this week by 45 points. Ha ha. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's
right.
Sorry that I did that to you, but it's hey, I don't even know, what can I even brag on? I don't even know Connor. Maybe I feel bad. I don't even know what it is, but it's it means nothing. So that's where I think Slack too kind of plays that component for us, where it's it gives us space to get to know, and that's good. And it also, you guys can promote the videos more in there. You guys can push, rule conversations where then there's ownership in terms of, we've decided what's going on as a league rather than you guys have decided from top down. And that's not a criticism as much as it is that's just good stuff. I think the rules are solid. There's not a huge problem with them right now. We've adopted good rules. There doesn't need to be wholesale changes, but those types of conversations create ownership. And when you have genuine ownership and competition, that's what's going to drive that good camaraderie, which is what's oh yeah, I love this fantasy league. That's what it is. So that, and then the only other difference is content. It's just we have more people to follow. It's unusual. You're not going to have that. I think to aspire to that is tough, and that comes from a place of we truly know each other, and that's really different. So I think we can get there. But just memes, articles like Boucher's writing, videos like that, it's just that kind of stuff is the stuff that keeps you coming back, because we're all selfish, narcissistic people to some degree. We love hearing about ourselves. We love seeing ourselves, all this crap. And to that end, this kind of content's great for that. I'm going to go back. I'm going to watch myself talk like an idiot for half an hour on this podcast. I'm going to be like, wow, good job. Really great. But no, the reality is that we love to do that for one another. When you have that competition, it's really good.
So I have one final question. I always throw a wild card in here because I don't prepare anything. And then I think of something good because I just do. And so I wanted to know, what's your side of the story? I want the inside scoop on the Tragus Fulgam debacle.
Did you say Tragus?
Travis.
No, so the Travis Fulgam debacle, this is crazy, right? Because I would love to somehow randomly poll leagues around the country that this happened in. Because my other league had, not to this level, the debacle here was bigger than most. But my take on that was, it was exactly like was pointed out. I mean, Fulgam goes off. I forget who it was against, but everyone's like, oh, practice squad player on the Philadelphia Eagles is raking it in. Dude's awesome. And then, you just look at the fab. You look at the trade that happens. And then I don't know, as soon as he called attention to it in the forums, it was just like, okay, this no longer takes a Sherlock Holmes. I'm not doing anything that shouldn't be done publicly now. Like, I'm not outing this dude. There's enough people from the Philadelphia area who follow football to know what's going on here. I think I'm just going to put it on blast. So, anyway, is it unfortunate? Yeah. Can you do it quietly? No. So it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. Should he have, sold a different pick for more fab? I can't tell you what to do in that situation. And it was early enough in the season where it's like people had fab to blow.
Oh, yeah.
People were ready to ruin his day on this. And
I don't even want Travis Fulgam. I never wanted him.
Somebody bought him in our league and then in our other league and then sold him off for a second round pick. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's highway robbery. Someone should arrest this person. I think stuff like that happened around Fulgam all year long for people. And I'm pissed he's not getting higher usage. I think he's good. Alshon should never play another snap for us. I'm back to the Eagles, Mark. I was in fantasy. I was doing so good. And now I'm back in the crap. And it drives me nuts because I think Fulgam maybe does have talent. I don't know. It's crazy. But so that's my take on the story. Is just I think he was telegraphing the direction he was going. And I wasn't just going to it is a competitive league. I am not going to sit by, even though I wasn't going to spend the money on Fulgam or I'm not sure I had the capacity. I wasn't going to sit quietly by and be like, okay, there goes Travis Fulgam off the board for nothing. It's nah, I think this is a thing. And it wasn't personal or anything. It was just that something should be said. So that's where I come from on that one. You did the hard work. You did the heavy lifting. It wasn't me. But a burn for all time. That was a good one. I love that. It's fun.
Yeah, I love that it happened.
It still feels so good. I do not regret it for a minute. Even if Travis Fulgam never has another good game in his, illustrious career with the Philadelphia Eagles, I'll keep him on my bench for a while.
Your shoulder, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a day. You'll have that for years.
Yeah.
But
we have a deep enough bench. I'm not that worried about it.
If I've played Dynasty for enough years just to say that crap comes back, man, you gotta be freaking diligent. It comes back. People try to think that they're wise. It comes right back. So you guys just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
I know.
Walk with.
I understand. You don't want to play with fire.
Trepidation.
Not with a guy who will, set fire to anything. So I get it. Point taken.
An unsung, player in this.
Okay.
An unsung player in this was Caleb Moore, who is Sentinel's cousin, and actually is the one. So Noah's going to. Seymour told him, "I am going to outbid you," and that's where this story where I don't know who reached out to who, but connection with you, Andrew, and then and the thing that So I don't think there's anything he can do differently, Newell, in this pursuit, other than posting in the chat, "Commissioners, please process this." That's the only thing I can say. That if he texts me, I don't mention it, and we do it, and I think he sneaks under.
And again, he should be the biggest proponent for Slack in the whole world. But yeah, the nepotism with Caleb there, it came back to bite him. There. That was a dangerous game. But yeah, nobody texted me. It was simply because I was a Philadelphia fan, and I was like, it was red flags, Fulgam everywhere. It was like, if I could grab Fulgam in every league I was in, I was like, I'm going to do it. This guy's going to catch balls all year. And so I was just watching him on the waiver, and I saw what he was doing. I was like, he's going for Fulgam. There's nobody else that week, and on the waivers, there's nobody else worth it. So honestly, my condolences. Like, what a bummer. But yeah, he also it's both end. It's both end.
So total callback. But I figured out the meme I was referring to.
Okay.
It's the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. Okay, I know I blew it. And I took that personally. There's some good ones out there for the Washington.
You were close on the first reference. You were close.
I know.
But you were not there.
Not
you
even.
You said a Rubius Hagrid Harry Potter reference when you said your thing, and it was not Michael Jordan.
Oh no, not even close. It was so bad. And the worst thing is, like, I could see him on the couch sitting there, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I can't visualize, I can't get a clear view of the face in my mental image that I've created. I'm like,
you said I should not have said that. That was what you thought he said in the meme. I should not have said that. That's the next meme that should be created.
Yeah, it's Eric referring to the Michael Jordan meme and saying I should not have said that. I like it.
It's perfect.
Inception. It's good.
Put it in the sleeper chat, which is really good.
Yeah, it'll be the best 3 seconds of my life. Yeah.
If you like it too many times, that also, just the little emojis comes up the chat.
It's gone. See you later.
Okay, so which is worse, the mascots or the fake emojis?
All right, we are in here right now on how bad sleeper is. I'm in on this.
Okay.
It's the mascots because it makes the rosters load slower. I'm convinced. The animation that they do on the freaking taco, the rosters don't update fast enough. It's like, all I want is the score. I am not here for the taco. Frick this crap. Just show me the score of my game. You have to wait like 45 seconds for the rosters to load.
Wow.
It is absurd. The emojis at least are like, oh, it's seasonal. They're updating the app. Thank God they're updating it regularly. The mascots, there's just nothing there. There's nothing.
Are you sure it's not just your Google phone? If you would.
I have Android, an iPhone. I have an iPhone.
Okay.
I have the Android.
Okay. I was going to say, because my iPhone has no problem with it, but okay.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could be. I just think it's just garbage. It just takes away from what I'm there for. You know what I mean? There's no intention.
Pretty sure. Someone just either broke into my house or there's a squirrel. Those are the two options.
It's Seth Newell who's come to kill you, actually.
Wouldn't be a podcast without my dogs interrupting.
Right on.
I know Newell is trying to think of something special for how whoever wins the throne, this year. And so if it's you, Eric, it could be a very difficult exchange of cards. Got, I think, 6 hours between, but you never know. He might just show up at your door at some point.
That would honestly be absolutely hilarious. However, he better wear a mask because it's a big deal up here in New England. And he'll need to quarantine for 2 weeks afterwards. But I'm curious to see how he does it. The only requirement was that he gets it to me in some way. It doesn't have to be personally delivered. I expect that he'll put some insurance on that package of some kind or something. But more power to him. Let's see what happens. This is all assuming I get it, Mark. And I know what you did there, but I really believe.
Self-celebratory. You were really thinking about that. Like you were like, Man, I wonder how Seth is going to get it to me. We're all sitting here like, it's week 13. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, like, dude, you got to chill. Yeah, no, I get it. Mark and I had this thing where we pre-congratulate each other on our wins in order to truly grab the victory, which has worked for me 2 out of 2 times this year so far against Mark, soon to be 3 out of 3. But, Mark, I congratulate you on your championship, and I don't think it's going to be hard to get you the football because I'm pretty sure you and Seth play golf like every other weekend. So
we've got guys scheduled for actually. So we've got Chapman, Seymour, and Noel golfing this weekend.
But Chapman was told an hour and a half earlier tee time, right?
No, that's when we do Boucher. Boucher gets lied to about the time because we doesn't show up in time.
I like to pretend I know these guys. I don't know who's who, but that's fine.
We all know Mark. That's what's important.
That is what is important.
There we go. You're welcome.
Well, we definitely have more than enough content in this episode. It's going to be the longest episode ever.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But the densest. I've enjoyed this one.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I definitely feel like I need to maybe start writing down some jokes because it's gotten a little rough.
You got a type 5, type 5. Get in one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you swing enough times, you're gonna hit one. It's that easy. But
that's right.
I do like this moving forward though. If we can do it, where do them both together. Because, basically this was 1.5 rather than 2.
I will say, I think we should come up with something going forward, Mark, of a combination of the 2, for sure. I don't think we should force everyone to do it like we've done this first time. I think some people really like it. Some people don't. But we'll see what happens. So, cool.
Yeah.
You giving us a tour of the house?
You guys should do a hard cut. Yeah, you want to tour the house? Here you go. Do a commercial break. 2 halves. The second one's the interview. First one is the league. That way you get to hear about everybody in the first half. Interview specific on the second half. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's clean and easy. Here's the thing. Mark's just lazy. He doesn't want to do these videos anymore.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
He's like, I've got a life. I'm like, what? You living in your mom's house? You're working from home. You haven't gotten a haircut in
And you're golfing with Seth, and you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, that hair is long, my dude.
It's in a very not good spot right now, but I'm just trying to power through. I'm just trying to power through.
Power through the awkward phase, Mark.
You'll get there, bud.
There was an awkward phase before, and then there was a time where I was like, okay, I think I'm there-ish, and then now this is a little more extended awkward phase where I've got to.
Are we talking about your hair still, or
the second coming?
Yeah.
And, well, I would say
the burns come quick on the brother. The familial burns come very quickly.
Yeah.
Those you do not need to write down.
No. Those were good on.
Those, yeah.
Hey, well, I'll say this: huge props to the branding on the YouTube channel. I think the idea is really good. In terms of drawing people into the league, you guys are doing everything you can. It's just you guys are putting a lot of time, more time than 90% of the commissioners I've ever seen in my life are putting in this stuff. And I think. And Mark, you know this, and I'll say this. We're still recording, but I'm saying this off the record, right?
Right, of course.
For people like Seth Newell and Caleb Moore and Ben Chapman to a lesser degree, right? I didn't know them, but I think there's this strange, I don't even know what it is. It's just age gap, but also just social difference between our friend groups, and when you really think about it, at the end of the day, it's why is that there? So I'm interested to get to know these guys. I'd love to actually get to a place where, and sure, yeah, I think we're a lot different, but I hope that we get to a place where it's more about this league than it is about that stuff. And you guys are doing a lot to make that possible. So I think that's worth commending. And I'm not just kissing your ass either. I really do think the content I haven't watched every minute of every single video, but like this takes a ton of time. And then even if you're just stitching the crap together and then throwing the intro and the outro on there, like plus the graphics you guys have been making, like it's fun stuff. That's really great.
Yeah, Mark, your graphics look great, dude. By the way, Mark has done diddly squat.
That's good. Like, it's fine. Like he's, we all know Mark. I come back.
Well,
again.
that was my contribution.
My thesis is strong. So like, you need the glue guy, even if he doesn't do shit for you. Like you still need the glue guy. You know what I mean? Like you still need him to make it work. So even though Eric is pulling all the weight and Mark is just letting his hair grow and sit there, like that's fine.
It's hard work.
It is hard work. It looks like it might be.
To wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and say, "This is a good idea." That's hard.
Oh my
There's a lot of convincing that happens every single morning. That just you gotta just get out there, Mark, and just let it keep going.
Yeah. One day, this hair will make me like Fabio.
Props to you guys.
Well, we appreciate that, and
Fabio,
that's
Mark.
totally making it in the podcast. We're cutting out a lot, but we're gonna put that in there. So don't you worry.
Don't put that in the podcast. Don't. I already kissed your ass enough in the podcast. You don't need to actually put in more. That's fine.
Yeah, don't worry. It'll be its own podcast.
So, but just know, I was ready to. Yeah. I was ready to slander the league at the outset, but you guys have turned it into something fun here, so it's good. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, I need to go eat dinner.
Wait.
Thanks for giving us the time. Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was real, guys. It was fun. Appreciate it. Until next time.